Hello viewers, welcome to this video, and in this video we're gonna see very quickly what an init container is, and I'll show you a very quick example of how to use an init container. Basically, init containers are, as you know, a pod can have multiple containers within it, two or more containers, one or more containers. So far we've been seeing only one container inside a pod. We could create multiple containers inside a pod, but this one is slightly different. If you schedule multiple containers in a pod, they keep running. But init containers are a special type of containers where it is launched and then it will run to completion, and then it will proceed to the actual container. Say for example, but before I explain things, I'll start my Kubernetes cluster, cd to play directory, and git clone my Kubernetes repository, cd to Kubernetes, and to Vagrant provisioning. So I've got the Vagrant file here, Vagrant up. It's going to provision three virtual machines, CentOS 7 virtual machines. We're going to have one master node and two worker nodes. As in all my videos, I'm bringing up a clean new cluster from scratch. So while the machines are getting provisioned, we'll talk about the init containers. So the use case would be, if you want to run anything for the actual container, you can put them in the init container on top of it. So init containers are containers that get run before the actual container. To explain in a better way, say for example, you've got an init container, you want to do something in that you've got a container and you want to do something inside the container, but you don't want to do that in that container, just to make the container image very small. So what you can do is you can have another container image that does the thing for you and prepares the actual container. One of the use case would be, say for example, you are deploying a web application and the source code are in the GitHub repository. So what you can do is you can add an init container that checks out the source code and puts it in a volume, and that volume is shared between the init container and the actual container. So once the init container completes, this is very important, the actual container doesn't get started until the init container completes its execution. So you can't keep the init container running forever, so it's a one-off operation, git checkout, MySQL dump, that kind of operation. So you're preparing the actual container. So once the init container completes, it proceeds with creating the actual container. So I'll show you an example. It will explain things in a better way. And you can have many init containers. You can have multiple init containers, but the thing to remember is the init containers are run sequentially. So the first init container runs, and then once it completes, it goes to the second init container and goes on. And finally, when all the init containers are done with the execution, it proceeds to the actual container. If for any reason an init container fails, it won't proceed with the creating the actual container. The deployment set or what resource you're scheduling, it's going to try and restart the pod if it sees that kind of failure. So if an init container fails, the pod gets restarted, and then again the init container will run. Unless it executes and exits successfully, the pod will get restarted. So if you don't want to do that, you can have the restart policy set to never. So if the init container fails, that's it. It won't proceed to creating the actual container, and then it stops there until you fix the problem. So if you've got multiple init containers, they run sequentially, and each of the init containers has to pause to go on to the next init container, and finally, eventually, to the actual container. You will get a better understanding if I show you a demo. In the demo, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to create an init container. The init container's operation, I'm going to create a volume first. That volume will be shared between the init container and the actual nginx container. So all init container does is it's going to create an index.html file in the shared volume and then exits. And then the nginx container gets provisioned. It mounts the same volume because it's a shared volume, and it mounts and it's going to display the index.html. Of course, we have to create the expose the deployment, which creates a service resource, and then we should be able to see it all in action. Right. Um, I think I'm done with talking, and I'm going to wait for the machines to get provisioned. At the moment, the cluster is getting initialized, and once it completes, it's going to provision the 2 worker nodes. I'm going to pause the video here and come back when the machines are ready. Right, Vagrant has provisioned all the virtual machines. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy the Kubernetes config file to my host machine so that I can run kubectl command from my host machine. I don't have to log into kmaster to run kubectl. So make directory.kube. I'm going to copy it from kmaster. Wrong password. Okay, that's done. If you check the cluster status, kubectl cluster info, that's running. Kubectl get nodes. Okay, we've got 3 nodes. All of them are ready. Kubectl version. Right, so we've got our brand new cluster. Okay, cd to play Kubernetes, and in Kubernetes repository you will find the YAMLs directory, and I've created a YAML file, initcontainer.yaml. Let's take a look at it. Initcontainer.yaml. Okay, so basically it's a deployment. It's an nginx deployment with 1 replica, and here comes the pod specification. So while showing you the init container demo, I'm also going to show you how to share a volume between the containers. So if you look at the pod specification here for this nginx deployment, I'm creating 2 containers. One is a busybox container. The other one is the nginx container. This one is a special container. As I mentioned, it's an init container, and all it's going to do is it's going to echo hello Kubernetes to index.html. So in the pod specification, I'm creating a volume. The volume name is shared volume. You can give it any volume, and the type is empty dir. There are a few other types, host path, I think. I'll, I'll explain different types of volumes when I do the volume related video. But for now, the volume type is empty dir. So that's a volume I'm creating for that pod, which these containers in this pod can use. So the difference is under the container section, I'm using volume mounts to mount this volume. So the name has to be same as the name you defined for the volume. So the name is shared volume, and here you've defined the volume as shared volume. That's just a volume name. It can be any name. And mount path, where do you want to mount that volume inside your container? I'm going to mount that under /nginx data, and I'm going to run this command. Echo hello Kubernetes to /nginx data. So that's the volume that I mounted, and inside that I'm gonna create index.html file with the content hello Kubernetes. So that's all the init container is going to do. So when you deploy this resource, it's gonna run the init container first, and it's gonna create the index.html in the shared volume, and then if it succeeded, it's going to create the nginx container, and in the nginx container I have defined volume mounts. The name has to be the same name, shared volume, and where do you want to mount it inside the nginx container? So I'm going to mount it under /user share nginx html. So that's the default document root for nginx. Okay, so that's done. Let's deploy it. If I do watch kubectl get all -o wide, we can keep an eye on what's going on in the default namespace. Kubectl create -f init container.yaml. Okay, that's created, and if you see here it says init, so it's under the initialization, so pod initializing. So it's running the init container at the moment. So once it completes, it's going to start our nginx container. Let's wait for it to complete. Meanwhile, what you can do is you can do kubectl describe deployment nginx deploy less, and you can see here. So that's the init container, and what we have mounted slash nginx data from the shared volume, and that's our normal nginx container. It's of type empty dir. Okay, it's running, the pod is running, so the init container has completed, and it has started the nginx pod. Let's briefly look at the status again. I want to look at the status of the init container. Container, init container, it should have a status, but I can't find it. Okay, so no problem, we know that it has completed, otherwise it would have not started the actual nginx container. So now we need to expose this deployment so that we can access it from using node port. kubectl expose deployment nginx deploy -- type node port, I think it's node port -- target, port is 80. I think that should do. Kubectl expose deployment nginx type node port and port 80. So that's going to create a service, and it has created nginx deploy, and the random port it has selected is 32381. So we should be able to access this port from any of the worker nodes in our cluster, and we should be able to get to the nginx web application. So let's try accessing that. kworker1, so that's the machine name, and I've got that in my etc hosts file. So I've got the names and the IP address of all the nodes in the cluster in my hosts file, so I can access it here, and the port number is 32381. 32381. There you go. So that's hello Kubernetes, and if I do that on the second worker node, and you will see the same page. Cool. Okay, so that's init container, and we can scale the replicas, and it's again going to do the same thing. kubectl scale deploy nginx deploy replicas 2. I'm going to scale it from 1 replica to 2 replicas. Scaled, and again this part it's doing the initialization at the moment, so it's running the init container first, and if it succeeds, it will start the nginx container. Pod is initializing, and now it has done on the kworker2 node, so it's going to download the busybox container, nginx container, and it's running. And I can check that kworker1 colon 32381. There you go. Hello Kubernetes. So it's all working good. So that's how the init containers work. You can have multiple init containers, and remember the init containers are going to run sequentially one after the other. If any of the init container fails, it's not gonna start the actual container. So it's like a prerequisite section, so it has to complete before it can start the actual container. I'm going to delete this. kubectl delete service nginx deploy, kubectl delete deploy nginx deploy. Okay, so it has deleted everything. What I'm going to show you now is I'm going to edit this file and make the init container fail for whatever reason, and you will see that it won't create the nginx container, and it will keep restarting the pod. Say for example, if I do something like this, which is a command which doesn't exist. Save that, kubectl create -f init container. So that's created, it's initializing, so it's running the init container first, it's gonna fail. So init run container error. 12 seconds, 14 seconds, let's see what it's going to do. I think it's going to start another pod. Let's look at the events for this deployment. Crashback loop, restarts. As you can see here, it tried restarting the init container second time. So the number of restarts you can see here 2, and it will keep on restarting the pod. So 2, and it will go to 3. Let's wait and see. Meanwhile, we will do the kubectl describe command to look at the status of our nginx deployment resource. Okay, if you look here, what am I looking at? Host argument, so that's the command which is not available. Containers, okay, available true, replica set. So you can see here it has restarted 3 times, so it keeps on restarting the pod. Okay, kubectl describe, let's look at the pod and see what it's doing. Nginx deploy. Okay, so the pod, okay, here is what I wanted to see. So here is the init container. We are doing the busybox container and the command here, and state. It's waiting for the init container to complete, but it doesn't complete. It's in the crash loop back off state. Last state was terminator, container cannot run, and all sorts of messages. So you can see the actual error here. Starting container process caused the failure. So it can't basically find this executable file. So that's what I wanted to show you, and you can see the restart count here as 3, but actually it's 4 now. And the nginx container is type status initialized false, ready false, because the init container has not completed. And if you look at the nginx container's state, it says it's in the waiting state. Reason, the pod is getting initialized. So once the init container completes, so that's the status right now. Pod is in the initialization state. So once the init container completes, it will then start the nginx container. So I just wanted to show the error case as well. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to show you. I'll do a quick cleanup. Kubectl delete deploy nginx. Okay, cool. I hope you learned something new today. This is about the init containers. You can use init containers for a variety of reasons. There are lots of use cases. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, you can use that to check out something, or you can put something in a common directory which you can then use on your actual container. If you want to keep your actual container image small, you can do other things in the init container and pull it in the actual container. Git clone, MySQL dump, those sort of things. I think that's it. If you've got any doubts or any questions about this, or if you want to understand more about the init containers, just ask me questions in the comment section below, and I should be able to respond to you. Yeah, and thank you so much for watching this video today, and keep watching this space, and there are lots of more Kubernetes videos to come, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.